Hello, and welcome to Gaming Gain. My name is Muzz, and I'm here to talk to you about Australian rules football, which is something I have undertaken this year. Yes, a lot has changed in my life, so much so that I'm playing a completely different sport. A sport that if you'd have told me at the start of the year, Muzz, you're going to be playing Australian rules football, I would have been like, absolutely not. So uh, where do we begin? We begin from the first training session. So I went out with my mate the night before. We ended up going out very late. I came back to his. I believe we got back at 4, or we went to bed at 4, and I was sleeping on his couch. And I was awoken by my mate's flatmates who invited me along to Australian rules football, and I've never looked back since. I was hungover on the couch. You know, one of those hangovers where you're not too bad, but if you don't get up and doing something, you're just going to end up feeling sorry for yourself. So I was like, why not? It was actually a really nice day. I went and yeah, I never kind of looked back. So this is my team's jersey. This is the Glasgow Sharks, and played for them this season. I am the ruck, which is quite a tough position, if I do say so myself. Basically, anytime there's a ball up, me and the other opposition ruck go up for the ball and challenge for it. The experience has been great. So in Australia, they play it's 15 on 15. Scotland, where it is a very niche sport, we play 9 on 9 on like traditional rugby fields, and I've loved it. I've loved it so much that I'm going into my second year. I remember my first game. I think we got beat, but I ended up getting like player of the match, and just kind of went from strength to strength. I feel like it's a combination of all the different sports that I've done combined into one. So you've got like football, obvious for the kicking part, volleyball for the jumping, then you've got athletics for there's a lot of running involved. Then you get to the different things. You've got boxing. There is quite a few scraps. I've not had to use any of my boxing skills, but not that I would. But just in case it's there. But I guess it's good for like your getting tight like one-on-one situations, and you've got to like juke and dive, and not dive but dodge out the way to try and get past them. And then my MMA actually is coming to it big, like the grappling side of things. Like you can tackle, and like the way you kind of wrap the opponent, like you're trying to wrap them and the ball, so you can get a free kick in your favour. And then yeah, so it's kind of just a culmination of all the sports that I have played. This is actually us playing. This is the Scotland team, but I'll get there. So the season is we play each. So we played 7, 8 games, I believe. And we finished third in the overall league. So that meant we played fourth to see who went through to the next final, and first and second played each other, and whoever lost that played us. So then we won against fourth, then we won against second. So we made it all the way to the grand final, where sadly we were beaten by our rivals, the big rivals, Edinburgh Bloods. So that was pretty disheartening. We were well beaten in the end, but I got actually a bit of personal achievement. I won the best and fairest of the season. So I believe that's like you get like awarded man of the matches across the season, or players of the match, and I seem to accumulate the most of them. This actually led me on to playing for Scotland, getting selected to play for Scotland, and what an experience it was, getting to actually train for an international tournament. So we actually flew out as a squad to Germany, where we played in Kiel. You do not need to go to Kiel I'm afraid to say there's not a lot in Kiel, but the actual tournament itself was well organised, and the experience, I felt like, first time at the age of 30 feeling like, an international athlete. Like, we were at like a hostel with a lot of the teams, and it felt like a wee bit like a Olympic Village type situation. Obviously it wasn't, but it was just a hostel. But the actual experience of like being there, being amongst the teams and playing a team sport was absolutely fantastic. Sadly, it was a typical Scotland performance. We won our first game against Switzerland quite easily. Then we get to this game, which is against Ireland, who actually ended up going on to win. I'm actually in the shot right now. I think this my goal? I'm not sure. I score a goal. I'll put it up on here. Might actually be. I'm not sure if you can see it. Let's see it. Let's run it through. I think this is my goal. So I go up here, win it, ball was around, managed to pick it up, and hoof it in, and it goes through the post, but it hits the post, so it shouldn't technically have been a goal, but I'm not complaining. So Ireland, they end up going on to win the whole thing, but we were the better team. Or we played well enough in parts that we should have done better. Just individual errors, unfortunately, on the day cost us. And then we went on to our third game, which was against a team we should have beaten. If we're being honest with ourselves, like, we had a terrible start to the game, and we were just chasing the game the whole time, and we ended up losing that game, which meant we were then playing for ninth place was the highest we could have got, which was disappointing because it seemed like we were trying to at least get to the level above that, potentially playing for fifth place. The first, second, third and fourth there, like, that might have been a little bit, but again, we played well against the winners, which is the most frustrating thing, typical Scotland. But we ended up in it finishing on a high. We played Germany and we played the Dutch, and we ended up beating both of those teams. So we won 3 out of 5 games. Just disappointing with the not so much the Ireland game, but I think the third game is definitely one that we should look back on, and me especially. I played horrendous that game. I was marking their best player, and yeah, he just got the better of me in far too many situations. Had many a sleepless night because of him, unfortunately. Still see him in my nightmares. Oh, frustrating, but I've been playing the sport less than a year at that point, so I was hard on myself, but then the other teammates were just fantastic too. Oh well, that game's finished, so you're going to have to watch adverts for a little bit. Where was I? Yeah, so fantastic experience, and I've loved it, and one of the main reasons is because of just the people, like the people that I have met through Australian rules football, just unbelievably friendly, nice, down to earth people, and yeah, it's a very good social scene as well. Like, we do a lot of stuff together, try and do at least one thing as a team together, which is really good. And I think it's part of the reason why I kind of talked about this year being tough. I think the Aussie rules has given me something to kind of focus on, take my mind off the tougher things, and yeah, it's managed to help me through. But yeah, never would I thought, sitting here in almost almost December, like, talking about playing Australian rules football. And listen, if you're from the Glasgow area, come to the Sharks. It'd be great to have you down. And yeah, I think that's all that's left to say. My kind of love for Australian rules football, Aussie rules. Not really missed out much in terms of, I mean, would I go through the rules? Nah, probably not. It's a combination of rugby and football. Like, think about it like that. It's a combination of those two. But yeah, that is really all that is left to say. Or all that's left to say is any thoughts, comments, general hostile remarks, leave them below. Thank you very much. Bye bye.